Hi YouTube, my name is Mike. I go by the game name Dimeka, or just Mecha, and welcome to my first YouTube video. You can see that the production value, it's not great, but it's my first video, just putting something out there to get into that habit. Hopefully they'll get better over time. And the first video is what is the deal with Escape from Tarkov. Hopefully it is the first video of a few explaining what Tarkov is, going into a bit of detail of a few different aspects of the game. And the aim of it is obviously to help new players and also maybe convince people who are on the fence to dive right in. I know that when I started playing, eventually, watching a lot of the content out there was super helpful in sort of igniting my interest in the game and teaching me a hell of a lot. When I bought the game initially, it does not explain a lot, and so I didn't play it for ages. I even tried to get a refund from the game developer, which didn't work. Left it for ages, and then finally decided to give it a go after watching a few YouTube videos. So what is Escape from Tarkov? I guess the best way to describe it is it's a survival military sim game all rolled into one. It's developed by Battlestate Games, which is the Russian company, and it's pretty much known for being extremely unforgiving, extremely difficult all of the time. As out of any game I've ever played in my life, probably has the steepest learning curve I've experienced. It's set in a fictional region called the Norvinsk region, which I guess is like similar to Russia, undergoing some serious turmoil. As I said before, it can be a very, very daunting game to start playing. The game has a reputation for not holding your hand through anything. There are no sorts of tutorials, very little, if any, explanation about anything. And luckily for us, there are heaps of great players out there who make excellent content that can help you to sort of break down certain things and sort of get you into the game little by little. And I'm about to put my contribution to that realm onto the pile. So the premise of the game is that you want to kill people. You level up your character, and you can choose either the American faction or the USEC, or the Russian faction and the bear. So the player main character, known as the PMC, is your primary character. And this is the one you're going to be completing tasks with, playing most of the game with. This is the character you're going to be putting most of your effort into. And these are the ones you can kit out with, all of the gear that you have, provided you actually have it or can afford to buy it. But the big thing about Tarkov is that if you die in a game or a raid, as they are known, you lose everything. Now there are a few caveats to that point, but for the sake of simplicity, let's assume that if you do die, you lose everything. The goal in any game of Tarkov is to make it to any of the extracts on a map alive, is to survive, and that's where the survival aspect comes into it. Of course, you can kill things, you can loot, find heaps of good shit, but really, you want to get out alive and not lose anything. Anything you find in any game is yours to keep. So that's the upside of sort of losing everything if you die. If you live, you keep anything that you found, plus what you came in with. In any one raid, it's populated by players, I guess around 12 in most maps, anywhere up to 12, and AI scavs. And the scavs are like vagrant soldiers that float around the Norvinsk region. The AI is interesting, they vary in skill level and the loot that they give, but I guess as of now, which is just after patch 12.12, they're incredibly aggressive and terrifying, so be warned. You can also complete raids as a scav player, so you can, instead of going in as your main character, you can go in as a scav, one of these scavs. And I want you to think of a scav like a zero risk situation. So you spawn in at a random time in the raid, generally like halfway through or with like 10 or 12 minutes to go, and you have a randomly attributed set of gear. So sometimes this is really awful, sometimes it's half decent, it varies. You can then spend the remainder of this time in your raid finding more loot. You can kill other player scavs, but it's not advisable because if you do kill another scav, then every other scav on the map that's AI is going to be trying to kill you. And if you get out alive, you get to keep what you came in with on the scav and anything that you found. You will die during scav raids, like other scav players will kill you, other players who are still on the map will kill you, but it's zero loss since you didn't take any of your own gear in. This was just given to you at the start. And these scav raids start on a 20-minute timer, so you can do them every 20 minutes. That can be brought down later on in the game, but yeah, they're a great way to sort of get your money back and things like that. If you do survive, just like with your PMC, you transfer your loot into your stash and choose what to keep and use with your PMC, and the other stuff you can sell to the vendors to make some money. There's heaps more detail to the game, and any Tarkov player will know that. And I hope to cover this in some subsequent videos. It's too much for just one, but it hopefully gives you a general idea of how the game works. You put a lot of time and effort into your PMC, but you use the scavs to sort of bolster the gear that your PMC has and make some money, in case you go through a real rough patch with your player, which is bound to happen. One thing to note throughout Tarkov, which is probably one of the most daunting things that I found, is that there's no in-game map. A lot of us are used to playing shooters with mini-maps and stuff like that. And it can make finding an extract incredibly challenging. You've got a list of extracts on the map and you have no idea where these are. Luckily for us, there are a multitude of online maps, like websites where members of the community have made these really detailed maps. And my personal recommendation is Map Genie, because they go into an excellent amount of detail. And I recommend that you have these open on another screen or your phone or a device, so you can just use them while you're playing to sort of get a bearing for where you are and learn the extracts as you go. There are in-game maps in Tarkov, they do exist, but they're very, very simple and don't give anywhere near the level of information that the other maps do. And so I guess with that out of the way, let's get into some of the main features of Tarkov. So one thing to note when you do log into the Escape from Tarkov screen finally, you'll see this is actually a beta version of the game. I think it's been out since 2017, which is a really long time for a beta, particularly in today's gaming market of very, very short, ineffective betas. But the game's come a long way and still probably has a long way to go. One of the appeals of Tarkov is how much the developers listen to the community and what they want. So the first button you'll see is Escape from Tarkov, and if you really want to jump right in, you'll see that you can pick between the PMC, which is your main character, which I mentioned earlier, or your scav. And there's no timer down here, which tells me that if I want, I can go in as a scav. Whatever you want to do, you click next, and then you can see you can choose from a bunch of different maps. Now, suburbs, streets of Tarkov, and town and terminal are not available yet. Lighthouse just very recently got released. The tasks you get early on in the game generally sort of point you in the direction of the maps, but you will start your Tarkov adventure mostly on customs and woods, and then diving into some other ones later on. I don't recommend factory for new players because it's very, very small and very, very PvP oriented. When you click where you need to go, you can pick your time phase. You usually go at night or during the day. As you can see here, it's a bit of a transition time, so it'll be light in either of them, but I do not recommend going when it's dark, because if you don't know the map, it's so hard to pick out landmarks and sort of work backwards from it. So I recommend daytime raids. They will be more populated, but it's just one of those things that you need to do. You can click your character, and at the top there are a bunch of different tabs. Now the whole menu system it's well designed, but it's very overwhelming. Again, nothing is explained to you very clearly at all. You click overall to see a sort of overall like standing of your character, your level, survival rate. I would not concern yourself with these statistics at all at any point. Play for enjoyment 100%. But if you are interested in sort of those stats, then you can have a look here. You'll spend a lot of your time in gear, and you will see you have a stash on the right hand side and a bunch of items. And again, I've collected a lot of this stuff in this early wipe, but you will start with a certain amount of things, and it is overwhelming what's there. And what I can tell you is that the more you sort of watch videos, the more you learn the game, the more you play, this will become far less daunting. But there's armor, ammo, guns, medical supplies, a whole bunch of stuff that is just overwhelming. But like I said, just little by little, you'll learn what's happened. You have your gear slot here, and this is where you dictate what your PMC or main character will take into the raid. You've got a pouch here, and it's important to note that this pouch has a bunch of things in it, and anything that is in this pouch when you go in with your PMC, you will not lose. Furthermore, if you find something and you want to keep it, you can put it into the gamma pouch or whatever pouch you've got, and you will extract with that even if you die. So everything in here is safe. Found in raid status is something that we'll get into in later videos, but just I want you to treat this gamma container like it's people can't loot it. They can't get this stuff in there. They usually keep spare meds and things like that in there. You usually take a backpack, some food, some water, because you do have to manage your hydration and energy levels in a raid, particularly if you're in there for a long time. You'll have a variety of meds as well to heal yourself if you get shot and you live. But again, this is probably content for another video, but I'm just explaining the overall layout of the menu. You've got a rig to hold your magazines and anything that you want, grenades, extra ammo, things like that. Anything that's in your rig or your pockets can be hotkeyed, whereas if you put things in your backpack, they can no longer be hotkeyed. You'll note here I have no body armor on, and that is because some rigs are also armors, and you can see here it says armor class level 4. Otherwise, sometimes you do have a body armor, and then you would put on a rig as well. So there's that option too. Face cover eyewear, you can have a sidearm, 2 guns. Body armor is always really important. Headwear, again, very important. And contacts is something that were really interesting for me at the start of the game. What you'll find when you're wearing contacts is that the sound is really hyper, like vigilant. You can hear everything, the crunching of things beneath your feet. It's a little bit overwhelming, but I strongly recommend you do play with contacts because it enables you to hear people around you if you're sitting still and waiting. And just gives you, not an edge, but it puts you on the same level as everyone else in terms of what you're able to hear. And if you don't have them, it'll be really hard to hear people. Sound is such a huge part of Tarkov. It's really important to wear those. Health, you'll have all these main health areas, head, thorax, stomach, right arm, left leg and right leg. Again, we won't go into detail here, but should you get shot, you can choose to heal specific parts. If some of these go to 0, then it's an instant death. You'll see there's a whole lot of skills that you level throughout playing your character, some of which have not been released yet because the game is still in beta. But as you play your character more and more, you will level up some of these skills, or mostly all of them, and your character will become better, stronger, faster, reload faster, that sort of thing. You can see here, like I said, maps. I have no maps in my inventory. You don't start with any maps, and I don't really use them in the game. And then you've got your tasks over here where you can see your progress on a variety of different quests. You obviously don't start with as many as this. One thing they did add very recently was operational tasks, which are like daily tasks that you can do. They're pretty simple. You then go down to trading, and you can see there's a variety of different traders. Jaeger is not available at the start. You need to do an early level quest to unlock him. And they all sell sort of different stuff. To give you a very quick overview, Prapor sells, again, these menus are also really overwhelming for a new player. There's so many items, and it's so realistic with all of its attachments and things like that. It just takes a little while to get your head around. Prapor sells a variety of guns and ammunition and attachments. Peacekeeper also sells different types of guns and attachments, but you'll note his price is in US dollars, and you'll see that with your currency, you have rubles, which are the main currency, but you've also got euros and American dollars. So there's Peacekeeper. Mechanic sells guns as well, and ammo. Ragman sells clothes mostly, armors, helmets, bags, things like that. Jaeger and Skier both sell a variety of weapons and attachments and ammo. Therapist is the person who sells meds and water and some food early game. And then Fence is an interesting one. So Fence sells a lot of different stuff, obviously, as you can see, but it's generally a really low durability or a low quality. And you can sell anything to Fence, but he will generally not give you a very good price. So you kind of want to avoid selling to him where possible. And as you play the game, you'll see that certain traders will buy certain items off you, and some won't. So figuring out what to sell to different people is part of the game. Generally speaking, food and any meds you can sell to Therapist. Gun attachments you can sell to Mechanic, Jaeger, and Skier, depending on what they are, and Peacekeeper. And clothes and armor and stuff that you don't want, you can also sell to Ragman. So you'll figure it out eventually. You want to sell to a variety of different traders so that you can level up their rep and unlock better items as you go. The hideout is something I haven't really touched on. And it's sort of like, it's an important part of the game. I feel like in the final version of the game, it will be much more important. But as you go through the game, you'll find items and you can build different things in your hideout that you can craft. So like at a med station, you can craft different meds. At the nutrition unit, you can make food. There's a workbench where you can make ammo. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, the hideout alone warrants, say, sort of 30-minute videos. So things you find can be used to build this hideout, and to that end, you can start to create and craft yourself some really cool stuff. It also gives your PMC some benefits outside of the raid in terms of healing up really quickly and hydrating really quickly. So yeah, like I said, I think the hideout will be more of a like a bigger feature. It's pretty big now, but in the future versions of the game, it'll be really, really important in that survival aspect. And the biggest thing at the moment for a lot of players with this new patch is the Flea Market. The Flea Market is like the auction house, and you can buy items from different players. Now, you do not unlock the Flea Market until level 15, so it's a bit of a grind to get there, but you will figure it out once you've got to 15 that you can buy certain things. As of this most recent patch, some of the really high tier ammo, some of the really high tier armors you cannot buy from the flea market anymore. But there are a variety of things that you can purchase. But until you're level 15, you don't need to worry about the flea market. And that's all you can expect from the opening menu of Tarkov. I guess a lot of these would require more videos to go into some more detail. For example, there's a preset section here where you can get into the modding of weapons, but this is not something you need to be concerned with early on in the game. Well, there you have it. What is the deal with Escape from Tarkov? Hopefully, if you're a new player or on the fence, you've got a little bit more of an idea of how the game works and what the general idea is. There is so much in this game to unpack that, as mentioned, we'll make some subsequent videos to follow up on some of the things we covered today, plus a little bit more. I stream on Twitch most days through the week, so if you're interested in what you saw here, please feel free to stop by. And also you can follow me on Twitter, and I'll leave those links in the description below. If you've got any comments about the content, things you'd like to see covered in more detail, please feel free to let me know. The video editing is going to take me a little bit of time to get my head around, so please be patient. Until next time though, stay safe and take care.